There's something oddly comforting about an RPG that refuses to take itself seriously. From the moment you tumble off of a bridge thanks to a dragon that can't even keep its texture straight, to the first time you're charged with mission just to raid a dungeon, the RPG leans fully into its own absurdity. It mocks the grind, laughs at the gold sinks, and still gives you a world worth exploring. Beneath the jokes and blurred nipples, there is a simple loop that invites you to settle in, swing a sword, and chuckle at how ridiculous adventuring can be. Like many other great RPGs, you wake up in the back of a horseman-drawn cart, accompanied by a few other unfortunate souls who have been caught trying something illegal, just like you. However, before you reach your destination, the dreaded glitchy dragon attacks the bridge you're crossing, causing the cart and all to fall down a large ravine. After waking up again in the hospital, you are given an in-depth character creation process, allowing you to create the perfect character that truly fits your style. Once you're healed and your character is made, you're released into the town to begin a most epic adventure on an adventure island ruled by the Cool King. This adventure island is home to the dungeon, the local attraction that draws countless adventurers who willingly pay to raid, loot, and explore the depths. That is where you'll do most of your exploring to level up and acquire gear. Every time you enter the dungeon, you'll need to buy a ticket, go through a small turnstile, and select a floor on the elevator. Some floors may be quite dark, and in those cases, you might find torches for sale near the entrance. At the end of each floor, there will be a boss monster and some amazing loot. The deeper you go, the tougher the enemies and terrain, but you'll find better loot and experience. Nearly everything you see can be picked up and added to your loot pile. There are mushrooms, newspapers, pots, pans, and everything else. You don't have to worry about a carrying capacity. Everything you pick up has a loot value and turns into a number once grabbed. You can trade your loot at the local pawn shop and receive 1 gold for every 20 loot. Once you save enough money, you can buy weapons and armor at a nearby stand, always equipping the best you own without the option to change it. It takes a lot of loot before you can buy the very best. The first law of the land is that bows are illegal and considered for cowards, much to the dismay of us bow enthusiasts. However, you will still have a ranged option in the form of a mushroom launcher. When you need some breathing room and don't want to physically smack an enemy, you can back off and shoot a bunch of mushrooms, dealing some minor damage. You can upgrade the 4 parts of the launcher in town, with some gold of course, making it more accurate, hold more mushrooms, and a little stronger. The glitchy dragon shows all the signs of a boss bad guy. However, it is willing to help you help it with its own plans. Sometimes it might gift you a dragon feather, adding an extra charge to your jump, allowing you to stay airborne for much longer. Other times, you might find ancient writings on a wall that teach you the knowledge of dragon screams. Useful abilities both in and out of combat. You can blast your foes with a fiery shriek, or wail at the top of your lungs to boost your movement and attacks. Mastering the dragon scream is definitely worth the effort. This is an RPG after all, so you will gain experience and levels as you explore. For each level, you earn a few gold stars that you can use to unlock higher tiers of skills. All of these skills are passive abilities that become more useful with each purchase. Mastering a single skill requires a lot of gold stars, but luckily everything you can beat up provides some experience points. From monsters to helpless wooden barrels, you can beat the world up until you have all the experience you need. Being the strong adventurer you are, you will find plenty of people unable to help themselves and request your assistance. Sometimes a lengthy fetching quest, other times simply having a conversation with someone. There is a lot to keep you busy outside of the dungeon. If the quick experience and loot you can gain from helping others isn't enough, there is an achievement if you can manage to help a certain amount of people. This game is full of fun and wacky humor that doesn't cross major lines. By default, any nipples that appear are blurred, but you can turn that off if you're into that sort of thing. I'm not judging. There is no obvious voice acting. When characters speak, the voices are unintelligible, so you need to read what they're saying. Most of the words are fine, but a couple of shits did find their way into conversations. I would love to hear any thoughts or questions you have about the game or my review, so please leave me a message in the comments below. While you do that, let's move on to my final thoughts and ratings. The RPG is a small indie with a satirical view of mainstream RPGs. From start to finish, it had me laughing at its countless jokes. For instance, every guard around the island has a literal arrow sticking out of their knees. The overall story was unique. Being stuck on an island with a dungeon full of monsters seemed standard at first, until I started to explore and found that nearly every aspect of an adventurer's life has been turned into a way for a king to make money. It's funny how everything, including a visit to the dungeon, would cost some gold. However, a lot of effort was put into the dungeon, with people hired to maintain traps, keep monsters in line, and perform general upkeep, so some of the expenditures make sense. I enjoyed the simple gameplay. It was very straightforward. Smack enemies with weapons, and try not to get hit back. I used a back and forth tactic with enemies, timing my buildup of a heavy attack to release when I was close, and then stepping back out of the enemy's reach to come in again. Occasionally, I would employ a dragon scream, mostly sticking with fire or ice, depending on how many enemies were around me. There was a ranged option, but it never seemed to be very effective. I didn't find enough gold to max out the damage, so it might be worthwhile after hours of work. As fun as everything was, I don't see much replay value in the game. There were some minor story choices, but I think I could play all routes in a single run if I timed it right. More than anything, I might want to go back and grind enough loot and money to buy everything and see what that's like. While the quests can only be done once, the dungeon levels reset after you leave, so you can test how much damage increases with levels or better equipment. I loved the humor, but it can get repetitive on repeat visits. With that, please allow me to put numbers to these thoughts, rate the game, and place it on one of my shelves. The visuals were great, everything was smooth, and the characters were hilarious. I'm giving it a 4. The story was unique and fun. I love the premise of a raiding dungeon used for monetary gain. It didn't invoke any extreme emotions, but I'm still giving it a 3. Gameplay was simple and sweet. Everything worked how it should. However, there were some quite difficult spots to get through with no option to change up gear or skills. Just power through until it was done. I'm handing out another 3. Replayability is kind of there. Not a huge pull to bring me back, but I would be curious how a maxed out mushroom launcher handles itself. I'll give it a 2. I had a lot of fun with this game. Between the simplicity of the gameplay and the excellent humor it offered, there's no question I'm giving it a 5. After all that, the RPG earns an average score of 3.4 out of 5. Giving it a place on my top shelf. If you're a fan of RPGs and great humor, this is an excellent game to check out. An indie well worth its price that offers more than a few chuckles. But, as always, if after everything I've told you about it doesn't seem quite like your cup of tea, check out the list of other games I've reviewed over the years. I am confident we can find exactly what you're looking for.